Good Thursday morning. It's McCollum on Business. I'm Stephen McCollum, and for the next 30 minutes or so, I'm going to get you updated on what's happening around the business world here on this Thursday. Of course, our last show of the week. We will be going back to 5-day shows if you want to mark your calendar, starting the last week of July. So that Friday, July 31st, we'll be back to our 5-day a week schedule. As of now, a couple more weeks of Fridays off. We're getting stuff done around the studio. Behind the scenes things here, taking advantage of the slow summer months. But now we'll get you ready for the weekend, of course. We have a 3-day weekend for us, at least, coming up. Markets will be open. And the war in Iran, of course, is a big talking point still. Now, Iran is starting to send threats back and to the United States in terms of that perspective. And that's not, is that rattling the markets? Is that not? I can tell you one thing. Oil prices continue to rise. It is still rising again today. We'll look at the market watch stocks we're paying attention to, plus all your local and national stories as you get ready for at least a 3-day weekend from away from this show. But thank you for joining us, 7 a.m. live, YouTube, TME Media AZ. Everything's on demand for the rest of the day. Of course, right after the show, we get it put into the on-demand status on the YouTube there at the TME Media AZ, and then, of course, over on Rumble, rumble.com/user/TME Media. Well, let's get into it with that Market Watch. Oil prices are again up about 1% this morning as well. Middle East energy supplies. Iran asked Yemen's forces over there to stand ready to close the Red Sea oil route. So obviously oil pressures and energy pressures are kind of the question. Brent crude right now is at 85.77. West Texas Intermediate up to about $80.41 a barrel right now as well. So Strait of Hormuz, Red Sea closures are being threatened. U.S. is bombing Iran kind of like crazy right now. Well, you can see the market is kind of there today, right? The Dow Jones right now is up only 5 points here today, 52,654. Then you got the S&P 500 down 19 points to 75.52. Semiconductors are the industry that is, as a whole is hurting this market, the S&P 500 today. Nasdaq's down 200 points, 26,068 for it. Then you got the Nasdaq. I'm sorry, you've got the Russell 2K, the small cap index, 8.50 points up right now to 2988 for it. And then Bitcoin hit 65,000 yesterday, kind of hovered there. Well, it's down today. It's under 65,000, but it's down to that 64,310. Still above that 63,000 that it's been at pretty much most of this week as well. So the Middle East tensions is obviously still a big concern out there as well. So let's move to stocks we're paying attention to right now. We know some stocks are going. We do have an airline stock that announced. We'll talk about that later in the show. But first, we're going to look at United Health here. Up 8.46%. Now, this is the biggest health insurance company out there in the United States. They posted better than expected results for the second quarter. They earned an adjusted $6.38 per share. Analysts were expecting $4.90 per share. Revenue was $112.03 billion. Analysts were only expecting $110.85 billion. With all of that, United Health hiked its full-year earning outlook, and they're up 8.13% here today as well. Now, hopefully they're not doing that by not giving people the medical treatment, denying claims for people that need it to stay alive. Hopefully they're not doing it on the backs of that, right? Next up, we're going to look at a company near and dear to our hearts here in Arizona. Big presence, growing presence here as well. With their announcements yesterday, Taiwan Semiconductor Manufacturing is what we're going to look at. It's actually down to did beat estimates. It raised its full-year capital expenditures to between $60 and $64 billion. Before, they had that full-year capital expenditure at $52 to $56 billion. So more capital expenditure, meaning they're going to be expanding and building more buildings and things to expand their production out there. Wall Street generally doesn't like the capital expenditures going up here, especially about $8 billion difference here with that announcement. But for us here in Arizona, we have a story coming up here later on. Last story of this segment. They announced they're going to invest an additional $100 billion here in the Arizona marketplace to build more buildings and improve their manufacturing. So we'll talk about that coming up, a little bit more specific. At least Taiwan Semiconductor's numbers and everything coming up later on here in this segment as well. But they are down 2.33% with that capital expenditures upgrade. Now we're going to look at a company called Atai Beckley here. It's a psychedelic drug maker. Well, I've never heard of them either. They do something that I'm not familiar with at all for psychedelic drugs. But you pay attention to a company when it's up 31.34% here on a Thursday. Why are they up so much? Well, Eli Lilly said it will buy this company for $2.8 billion. So basically $6.75 per share in cash. Yeah, here's the interesting thing, right? They're up huge today, but as of yesterday when this was announced, that $6.75 per share, well, that was 26% higher than this company's Wednesday close, which was only $5.36 per share. You can see today, this morning, with the run-up, it's at $7.05 per share, above that purchase amount as well. Eli Lilly could pay up to an additional $2.50 per share if the drugs from Atai Beckley, if the drugs here meet certain milestones. So big purchase here for Eli Lilly, causing this stock to go up. Eli Lilly, by the way, up just a little bit here today, barely up, Eli Lilly, as we looked at it at the top of the show, by purchasing this company for $2.8 billion. When we come back later on and look at the market, or look at the stocks, excuse me, we're going to look at United Airlines. We know fuel kind of went down, but we've told you the stories over the last couple of weeks of how much the airlines are spending on fuel, driving their profitability down. Their raised rates are causing less people to be on the planes. United Airlines did report yesterday. We'll look at their stock. J.B. Hunt Transportation Services, same issue, right? Oil, gas prices squeezing their bottom lines. And then GE Aerospace in the news as well. So we'll talk about those stocks here when we come back and look at the market for the last time here this week. But first, a couple government reports out there for you. And we now have the reporting. Well, you didn't shop as much in June as you did back in May. Yeah. Now, if you gas pumps, also other stuff. But if you exclude business at the gas pump, shoppers actually did show resilience, meaning they're going to the shopping other than the gas pump, even though that we have all this economic uncertainty out there. You know, consumers bought cars last month. They took advantage of summer sales events going out there. Now, if you noticed, I said exclude gas pumps. We'll talk about that coming up because that's kind of dragging the numbers down. Retail sales actually rose 0.2% in June. It was being up a revised 1% in May. We get all this, don't forget, from the Commerce Department. It was released early this morning. So outside of gas stations, retail sales rose about 0.7%. And that is a robust number for retail sales. Government figures aren't adjusted for inflation. So last month's decline in gas prices did pull down the overall retail sales figure. Right? You weren't buying as expensive gas. So it shows a sales decline on the gas side because gas was cheaper last month with that price going down under, that $4 a gallon barrel. Business at gas stations did fall 5.3% last month. Again, doesn't mean 5.3% less fuel being bought. Yeah, it just means that the price went down, which meant you spent less there. Sales at motor vehicle and parts dealerships, they were up 1.9%, according to that consumer reporting. Shoppers were selective in their buying last month. So obviously the government tax benefits or your tax refund that you got from your taxes, that was propping the shopping up there for a few months. Well, it pretty much is dwindling down to nothing now as well. So we're not getting those benefits as you were up until May here in the economy. Clothing and accessory stores and then miscellaneous retailers, what they categorize them, they're all down 0.3%. Sales at department stores were actually up 1% last month. Online sales, well, they were up 1.9%. Now, not all of it, but a lot of it had to do with Amazon's Prime Day event, which happened in June as well. Remember, end of June is when that went on. Businesses, sporting goods, hobby, musical instrument, bookstores, they were up 1.3%, right? World Cup spending. Think about that. All the visitors we had here for the World Cup in that time frame. Then, of course, everybody watching the World Cup and kids wanting to get soccer balls, etc., out there. The data, well, from this reporting, it's a snapshot of consumer spending. Doesn't include travel, doesn't include hotel stays. Matter of fact, the only service category that's in this report is restaurants. And they registered a 0.1% increase in June as well. So the number, robust spending, it is going down, it is dwindling, but gas prices driving or gas spending, gas pump spending way down because gas prices down 20, 30 cents, down to, well, at least here in Phoenix, I should talk about. I don't know what it is. For those of you that watch us in Illinois, Texas, California, Nevada, Virginia, Georgia, we see you guys watching us here. But, I don't know what your gas prices are, but here it was over $4 a gallon. Now it's went down to like 370, 375, I think is what I was seeing there for a while. So there you go, folks. Now we got to talk about unemployment. Yes, filings for unemployment benefits, they fell last week. Now it's at the lowest level in 10 weeks. U.S. layoffs do remain historically low, even though it seems like every day we're coming in here and I see the stories. I don't always report on them, but I see the stories about layoffs specifically in the tech side of things. But the number is historically low still. The number of Americans applying for jobless aid in the week ending July 11th, well, they dropped by 8,000, went to 208,000. And then we get all this from the Labor Department. That's well below the 219,000 new applications that was forecasted by analysts. Weekly filings for unemployment benefits are considered kind of a proxy for layoffs. They're obviously close to a real-time indicator of the health of the U.S. job market because, like, you get laid off today, you're filing for benefits today or tomorrow. So it's pretty much as real time as you can get. Now, in the more comprehensive June jobs report that came out earlier this month, if you remember, employers pulled back on hiring in June. They only added 57 jobs. So that's less than half the previous month's total, a sign that companies remain cautious about adding to their headcounts. So, like, if people are quitting, they're just not filling those roles, or like Microsoft doing a big purge in their organization and obviously shrinking their headcount there as well. The unemployment rate did drop to 4.2%. It was at 4.3% in May. That decline, though, it's mostly because many out-of-work people gave up looking for jobs. And then once you do that, you're no longer counted as unemployed in terms of these numbers out there. So it's that low fire economy that we are in. Some people call it K-shaped, things to that effect. But we're still in that myriad situation that we are in here in the United States. Now, right, one thing that plagues the economy as well, or at least people watch about, is tariffs. And we know there's that big study going on forced labor and tariffs coming from that. Well, we got kind of a glimpse of that because the Trump administration, they say they're going to add on to Brazil's tariffs a 25% duty, kicking off this renewed rollout of those global tariffs we know that are probably coming here at the beginning of August. Now, this is a follow-up move that could cover more than 80 countries, in terms of the expanded tariffs. It's expected, like I said, it's expected to be announced here over the next few weeks and probably taking effect here sometime in August. The official notice was released on Wednesday about these Brazilian tariffs. They're going to go into effect on July 22nd. So it carves out some major exceptions. Oil and gas, not part of that tariff group. Beef, coffee, oranges, also not part of the tariffs as well. Now, how specific is this listing? Well, it's highly specific. How much so? Highly specific list of exceptions by itself was about 100 pages. Yeah. And they said it includes that 100 pages of exceptions to the tariffs. It includes items where tariffs could lead to the unavailability of domestic supply. So, oranges. We grow oranges here, but we also import a lot of them, right? They don't want to cause any economy wide disruption out there either. So, Brazil, 25% additional tariff, but 100-page exception. So, what follows into that? Good question. But obviously, this is the first step here in what's coming of the investigation under that Section 301 of the Trade Act of 1974. What it is they said there's an array of issues with Brazil: digital trade, market access for U.S. businesses. All of this is just showing us what's coming with these other companies. It's all a prelude to the more sweeping global tariffs that are coming. So, what they're doing right now, you've heard about this before because you watch McCollum on Business, but there's an investigation going on under that Section 301 of the Trade Act of 1974. Since June, everybody's been looking at, forced labor. Um, are you allowing our products into your country as we are importing your countries and stuff like that? And this investigation right now has shown and has kind of claimed that dozens of countries have failed to counteract goods being made with forced labor. So they say that burdens and restricts U.S. commerce. Some countries, like China, will make a ton of a product. Like, let's just throw out mattresses. I'm making up a product. They'll make millions of mattresses. Even though there's no buyers for them, they'll make them because it drives down the price of domestic mattress makers out there. That's what the U.S. is looking into. And tariffs are coming if they think you're doing that type of manipulation. But also the forced labor is a big thing that they're looking at. And this forced labor report is leading to a 10% tariff on the EU and 14 other nations, including Canada, by the way. Another 45 countries, and this one will include China, they're set to face a 12.5% rate. As I said, that announcement we're kind of waiting for, but we know it's coming as well. So under that Section 301, all these investigations are ongoing. It could result in multiple double-digit tariffs in the months ahead. For instance, one of the investigations we know about, it's focused on excess structural capacity. So many trading partners involved in this. Vietnam's being looked into for forced labor. They make a lot of clothing for us here in the United States as well. So this Brazil thing is kind of just a prelude to what could be coming in terms of these tariff announcements and that we see coming up. And again, another question mark and uncertainty in the market as of right now. And then, like I told you earlier, we looked at Taiwan Semiconductor stock price, and it was down today so far. But we told you about the investments and the capital expenditure increases. Well, so TSMC came out this morning, says it plans to spend another $100 billion on expanding its manufacturing capacity in the United States. Now, I'll tell you, a lot of that, most of that, is here in Arizona. So all of this commitment from TSMC, well, it's to bring the company's total pledges for investment in the U.S. chip making to $265 billion. They raised their annual revenue forecast after booking record high profits, all because of the runaway demand on their chips, all from the artificial intelligence data center boom that's happening right now as well. So TSMC is the world's largest contract chip manufacturing company. It's one of the world's most valuable companies in general as well. But they are viewed as the barometer of global chip industry and, of course, for AI as well. So if you see TSMC's chips manufacturing starting to slow down, that means it's coming, across the whole economy in terms of the data center slowdown and stuff like that as well. So people are worried about this AI bubble out there, so they're paying close attention to TSMC as well. We know AI-related demand for chips continues to jump, and these data centers need computing power for the computers in these data centers. And TSMC just can't produce as much, right? You have limited capability. They've been expanding their chip fabrication plants in the U.S., Japan, and Taiwan for a few years now. They said they're increasing their annual capital expenditure budget, as I told you in the stock section, for this year to $60 billion to $64 billion. So big increase here in that capital spending to try to keep up on this demand. TSMC is a key supplier to NVIDIA and Apple, and they're both huge players here in this AI and chip component market. They'd previously also, or it also committed $165 billion in the U.S. for building plants just in Arizona. 6 fabrication facilities planned. I think they only have 2 open right now, building 4 more that are in the process of being built or at least planned as well. But then they said also an additional 4 fabrication plants here in Arizona will likely be built with these new investments. So that's where the capital expenditure's up. So here in Arizona, we're going to benefit from this capital explosion here, from this AI demand as well. TSMC said they'll focus on making some of the most advanced chips that are 2 nanometer and below. I don't know what that means. I just know those are the best ones to get and the most expensive. So TSMC, not just making huge growth, but doing it here in Arizona as well, which just can help, of course, more jobs here, more employees here, more income, more revenue, more spending. TSMC making big growth here as well. When we come back here at McCollum on Business, we keep the show rolling. Yeah, here on this Thursday, we'll go back and look at the Market Watch for the last time this week. Don't forget, off on Fridays here for a couple more weeks. That last week of July, July 31st is a Friday. That week, we'll be back to 5 shows a week. But for now, last show of the week here. So we'll get it done with a bang. Market Watch. Stocks we're paying attention to: United Airlines, J.B. Hunt Transport Services, GE Aerospace, and of course, a couple local stories you need to know. And hey, you want to watch the World Cup final coming up? Chipotle might have something you'd be interested in. We'll tell you about that for this weekend's Coming Back. McCollum on Business. And we're back here, McCollum on Business Thursday edition. Even though we're off tomorrow here, all of our shows are dark on Friday here for the summer. Again, just for 2 more Fridays, this Friday, next Friday. The following week, back to 5 days a week as well. Just getting some stuff done around the studio, behind the scenes stuff here. Doing some things around the studio to make sound better, visuals a little bit better, etc. But then also some graphic stuff and everything that you'll slowly notice over time getting done here on these Fridays. But we're ready to ramp it back up here going into the end of summer, beginning of fall. So join us. But just because all programming, live programming is off, you can catch everything on demand on YouTube, where you can catch us live as well. Us in the main event live, 7 a.m. for this show, 8 to 10 a.m. for the main event live on YouTube, TME Media AZ. Everything's on demand there afterwards as well. Everything except for the Real Matrix. Well, every show has its own podcast version of the show as well. For you audio people that'd rather listen to it, they're all out there as well, except for the Real Matrix. That's the only thing that's not on YouTube. That's over at, of course, Rumble, rumble.com/user/TME Media. We're to the point now where we can create our own. You guys have watched that show enough that Rumble's happy with it, and now we can create its own URL. So we'll be submitting that and working on that as well. So a little bit easier to get to it. But all of our programming's there at rumble.com/user/TME media. Just click that channel button right above the videos when they pop up, and boom, pick the show you'd like to watch. Everything's over there as well for those of you that prefer Rumble over YouTube. Of course, the Real Matrix there, but new episode coming out Friday, tomorrow, noon. I believe that this week's episode is about energy out there. Last week was education, one you don't want to miss. And then energy this week coming out noon tomorrow on Rumble for the Real Matrix, and then also on the free podcasting systems. Your favorite one, Apple, Google, Spotify, Podchaser, iHeart. All of them are out there for you as well. And then, of course, as soon as we get done here, we put this up on demand. We go into the main event live here on YouTube. Then it goes up on demand as well. Normally, the pit stop is out on Wednesdays. Well, we had some things we had to take care of yesterday, so pit stop coming out today, folks. It'll be up by 2 o'clock today for this weekend. IndyCar goes to Nashville this weekend, and North Wilkesboro points race here for the NASCAR boys and gals there. We'll talk about that. Look back, of course, last weekend's racing. Look ahead to this weekend's racing. Come and join me on the pit stop. It'll be up by 2 o'clock today. Follow me at the Pit Stop Talk on X as well. Free podcast for that show, obviously on YouTube and Rumble as well. Follow me at the Pit Stop Talk on X just to get you the show updates, things we throughout the week. Love to have the conversation with you as racing goes on out there. And folks, busy time around here. Follow the TME Media AZ as well on X. We'd appreciate it. That's just the parent company, what we do around here. And, well, let's get right back into the final market watch of the week for us right now. Again, we're off tomorrow. So last time we're looking at the market watch for the week, but it's just there. Now, Dow Jones has gotten better. It's up 93 points right now for it. So it is up from that, 11 points or so earlier in the show. The S&P 500, though, still down, but barely down. 5 points for the S&P 500. Lots of question marks on the economy. Uncertainty out there. NASDAQ's a little better here. 130 points down for it. As right now, Russell 2K, it's up 15 points for that small cap index. Bitcoin's gone from negative to positive, but it's still underneath that 65,000 level that it kind of was hovering at yesterday. The 64,750 right now for Bitcoin as well here today. First stock we're going to look at right now, United Airlines. Now, they're the first major airline to report, but we know what they've been spending on fuel. We know the expenses there. We know the cost of airlines. They're increasing their fees and airline prices to travel are through the roof. Well, they're down 2.88% right now as well. Well, United Airlines came out and topped earnings estimates. They issued softer than expected guidance, though, $2.50 to $3.50 per share for the third quarter. So their guidance is lower, folks. The estimates out there are $3.53 per share. Gas prices, oil prices are obviously going to squeeze their bottom lines. Plus, a lot of people aren't even flying this year because of the expensive tickets. Like when we were looking to go to California, we just decided to drive because what used to be a high $90, $100 fare if you booked it early enough to just go to California, $200 and something this time of year because their fees are higher and gas prices driving up their costs as well. And here's the side of it. United said it expects $6 billion in added fuel costs. This isn't the only airline that's feeling that pinch, obviously, but they're the first ones to report in terms of the major airlines, and they're down 2.98% based off of that news. J.B. Hunt Transportation Services out there. Right, they have a fuel problem. This is the transport company. They're up 4.72% today as well. They had earnings per share of $1.73. They beat analyst expectations by 18 cents. Yeah, revenue of $3.5 billion. Well, that was in line. The estimates were $3.25 billion, so they did beat that. Not by a ton, but they did beat it. Now, management for J.B. Hunt Transport Services. The management said demand for the intermodal service increased throughout the quarter, 4.64% up here for J.B. Hunt Transport Services. Now we're going to look at GE Aerospace out there. Second quarter earnings and revenue beat for this company, and they're down 3.54% here. They reported adjusted earnings of $2.02 per share. Well, the expectations was $1.86. So they didn't just beat it, they blew it out of the water. They had revenue of $12.63 billion. Well, the expectation was $11.86 billion. Beat it out of the water again. They even raised their full year guidance. But yet still today, they're down 3.50%. As of right now, GE Aerospace is what we are looking at here today. Sometimes, right, it's just a breakdown moving forward or what the market conditions are. When you have good numbers, well, GE Aerospace, one of those ones breaking the trends here with good reporting and still being down here today as well. And now, if you take the light rail and, you've always been like, you know what I need in the light rail? Classical music. Or if you don't take the light rail because you're like, too much riffraff on there and loud music, I don't want to deal with it. Well, maybe you'll take it coming up because of classical music. That's right. Valley Metro and DTPHX. Now they're hosting a series of live music concerts on the light rail, folks. It's all part of the Ride the Rail initiative to get more people to interact with small businesses in downtown Phoenix during the summertime, right? Nobody wants to be walking around in this heat. The concerts will take place over 3 different days on the Valley Metro's B line. If you haven't been on the Metro Rail in a while, they have that new section of it that goes down Central, down toward Baseline. So they've renamed their lines here. I think it's ABC if I remember right, but there's the actual numbers, letters now as well. But the B line is going to feature music from the Phoenix Symphony, the Herberger Theater Center, and even Rosie's House. That's a music academy for children, the Rosie's House. So you'll get to experience a range of acoustic and classical music performances. Like, for instance, July 16th, it's going to feature singing and acoustic guitar by Lumar, a clarinet performance by Silent G, who works out of the Rosie's House. July 24th is going to feature symphony performances by the Phoenix Symphony. They're going to fit how much symphony people are they going to fit into these things? July 30th, it's going to feature acoustic guitar and harmonica from the Herberger Theater Center. Now, they're not going to be on it all day. It starts at 5 p.m. at the downtown Phoenix Hub. And there you go. Music on your light rail if you're interested in hearing that and experiencing that. Make those dates on your calendar available as well for you. And otherwise, get out at a normal time and hear the rap music and all the other music that you can hear when there's no security on there telling them to turn their music off because it's blaring loud. I know. I ride the right rail way more than I care to admit. Now, right now it's hot. We know nobody can live without an air conditioner right now. One group of people that you have to be mostly concerned about is the seniors that are here in the valley with this heat as well. And there's a service out there or a thing you can apply to. And I want to make you aware of this just because a lot of us have elderly parents or we know elderly people, and you just got to make sure they're taken care of right here in these summer months. But low income, older adults, people with disabilities, we need to watch out for them out there. Now, there's somebody who works for and is the administrator of home improvement for the nonprofit company called All Thrive 365. Her name is Katie Martin. And by the way, got this story from KJazz. Got to give them a shout out for this information as well. So this nonprofit, All Thrive 365, it supports seniors. Now, this group helps eligible Arizonans replace or repair broken air conditioners at no cost. Now, this program is called the Healthy Homes Air Conditioning Program. This is for seniors specifically. It relies on grant funding from local utilities. And they say that since it's not federal funding, they say they're able to move a little bit faster, a little bit less red tape for them to get these ACs repaired or replaced as needed. They say they survey recipients before and after receiving a working AC unit. And what they found is when they get it done, well, everyone afterwards feels a little more comfortable being at home because it's not hot. Less doctor appointments, less traveling to malls and things to get out of the heat and stuff like that is what they're finding as well. But there obviously are health benefits to being, in a cooler environment, right? And hot, if you're hot, you're not feeling well, dehydration, other medical reasons to go to the doctor. So you're healthier with a cooler environment. So this program relies on grants from local utilities to help cover the cost, as I told you. The average cost they say that they use for an AC unit is around $11,000. And I can tell you, as somebody with rental properties, that's about right. You used to be able to have a whole AC unit, a good one, installed for about $8,000 to $9,000 just a few years ago. Then COVID happened. Now everything's, even roofs and everything are over 10 grand just to get them done. Prices through the roofs on this. So little, if you know a senior that's having AC problems or helping them or whatever, just something to look into here as we're just experiencing all this record heat and the humidity up right now with our monsoon storms coming through and all of that stuff. And while you're helping your seniors and the disabled that need help with their air conditioners as well, you could be eating some of those Girl Scout cookies that you have left over from last year's sales drive as well. The 2026 Girl Scout cookie season sold more than 2.3 million boxes of cookies. That is just from the Girl Scouts Arizona Cactus Pine Council announced that number. So you guys are buying these things left and right out there. You guys treat them like crack sometimes, right? You gotta have them. Gotta have them. They sold them from January 18th through March 1st this year as well out there. So, yeah, 6,806 Girl Scouts across central and northern Arizona sold about 2.3 million boxes. 2,303,774 boxes. 339 boxes per girl is what the average comes out to at that point as well. So, the top individual seller, we'll give her a shout out. Avery Bantu, Troop 872 in Chandler. She sold 8,818 boxes just by herself. Yeah, got to give her a shout out. Troop 558 in Peoria, they led all the troops with 31,408 boxes sold. What was the top seller is the question. I do not eat Girl Scout cookies. I'll buy them, but then I don't eat them generally. They're just addictive and everything. But what was the best flavor? I've only had two types of Girl Scout cookies. One I never remember what it is, but they taste like Teddy Grahams, kind of. I don't remember what those are called. But then Thin Mints. Those are the best ones, right? Well, they're all. I'm not the only one that feels that way. They're the season's top selling cookie here in Arizona as well. So, yeah, Thin Mints is everybody's favorites out there. They always run out of them. It's like, just make more. You know you're going to sell a ton of them. Make them. So, all of the proceeds from the cookies, of course, goes to the Girl Scouts and supports that organization and everything. So you came through Arizona, 2.3 million boxes. Good job out there as well. Now we're getting closer to this year's selling season coming up as well. So save up for your Girl Scout cookies, folks. And hey, we know the final two combatants in the World Cup. We'll talk about this on the main event coming up here. And man, I picked both of the semifinal games completely wrong. I was wrong on both of them. But one of them I didn't see coming. I kind of underestimated an opponent in Spain. The other one, well, I mean, I definitely underestimated Argentina, but I wouldn't say it's over an estimation. It's just their greatness right now and the comebacks is amazing. But we'll talk about that on the main event specifically coming up. But this weekend, you have the final coming your way. You might get a little hankering for Chipotle while you're watching it on noon on Sunday as well. Go on to Chipotle's Instagram account. Make note of the code revealed at the video's end. The first 100,000 people who text the code to a number will win a free entree deal, good for any regularly priced entree through July 24th. What you can do. Free entree during the World Cup final is what they are offering out there. Now, when is this available? So, Chipotle is planning to give away about $1 million in burritos this Sunday as well, coming up. The giveaway will occur during the match's second hydration break. Usually occurs about 22 minutes into the second half of the game. So if you had to know the time, about 67th minute, 65 to 16, 65 to 70 in that time frame. Yeah. When the second official hydration break happens, they'll share a video on its Instagram account. You track 3 identical Chipotle water cups in a shell game-like video. You identify the one filled with lemonade. Then you get that code that can help you win that free food. 100,000. You have to be quick, I'm sure, to get that out there as well. Why are they doing this? This does crack me up because they know what we all do, right? This water break giveaway, as they're calling it, it's inspired by their water cups, right? Customers go in, they order the food, they go, "Hey, can I get a water cup?" They get a water cup. You walk over to the machine and you accidentally fill it up with lemonade. That's why they're doing this. I think that's brilliant. I think that's brilliant. Yeah. So they got going on that. So there you go, folks. This Sunday, well, I'm going to say noon is when the game starts. So it's probably going to be about 1:15, 1:20 time frame, our time here in Phoenix. Here on the West Coast is where you would, look for that second hydration break. If you don't want to watch the game, you should. The championship game is going to be fun as well. But there you go. Be one of the first 100,000 to complete that task. Get that texted in. Free entree through July 24th for you out there as well. And folks, been a blast being with you again this week. Of course, we're taking Fridays off. Couple more weeks, this Friday and next Friday. Then after that, July 31st week, which is a Friday, we'll be back to our 5-day schedule at that time. Come and join us next week on Monday as well, 7 a.m. here on the YouTube page live. On demand on YouTube and Rumble. Catch our programming there on demand. Pit Stop out later. Real Matrix will be out tomorrow at noon. Energy Talk by the Angry Patriot there as well. So come and join him out there. Free podcast systems. Main events coming up next. Live here. Uncle Lou comes in for the second hour. I got you for the first hour last day. Dale will be back on Monday as well, unless he just continues to fall in love with Sedona up there, where he's doing his birthday week. We'll see you on Monday, folks. Have a great weekend. See you then.